Mr. Massey, who has just carved out a place for himself in the Republican Party, and of course, along with Ro Khanna, who was here last night, was the leader of moving the legislation that led to the production of the Epstein documents. Mr. Massey, the only Republican on the committee to have contentious moments with the Attorney General, and she, as they say on the playgrounds of Florida, she gave as good as she got. Here's Massey and the Attorney General, number 6, please.
And then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question.
You can give
Within
me-
40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
and we invited you in.
Gentlemen,
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
Gentlemen,
You need to
I
get
want
on
you to
these
watch the video.
matters.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information. None.
Okay. We could show you these all night. It went this way again with the Democrats and Mr. Massey. I'm not going to show you Jasmine Crockett. I'm going to show you this. This is a still photo, number 9. I mentioned this earlier. A dozen or so women there who were asked to stand, who are accusers and victims and survivors, and asked to raise their hand if they had never been contacted by the Justice Department or the FBI. They all raised their hands, and then the Democrats asked the Attorney General to turn her head and apologize, and she declined. You can see her there looking straight ahead, and she said she wasn't going to get in the gutter and play the theatrics. Afterwards, or during a break, I guess, those women had a press conference. Here's what one of them said. Number 10, please.
To Ms. Bondi, we are deeply disappointed by the way you and your leadership in this department have treated survivors. And today, while you're being questioned, we ask you to look in the eyes of every single one of us and remember Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who paid the ultimate sacrifice for the trauma that she had endured. We ask you to remember the lives that we have lost during this process. Accountability means real answers, not evasion. It means transparency, not more hiding.
So accountability can be disclosure, but it really could be justice. It could be indictments, right, and trials or guilty pleas. And the Justice Department has already said they've read all the documents and they see no more reason for prosecutions. That rubs some people the wrong way because they say, well, there should be prosecutions. But if we're going to live in a rational country, just because it's a case of great public interest and horrible actions, monstrous actions by some, you can't just make up indictments. Right. So let's Polymarket this question. Our colleagues, our partners at Polymarket ask, will anyone be jailed over the revealing of the Epstein documents? Anyone go to jail? Only 17% chance, according to Polymarket wagers. And it's been pretty low the whole time. It was as high as 37, but of late it's been pretty low, 17% chance. So, Lindsay, the Attorney General said, well, of course, we'll follow the evidence wherever it leads, we'll prosecute someone. And of course, the president also had them start an investigation here in New York of Democrats. Is your sense that part of the continued action on this will be indictments, or that no one else is going to be indicted?
I mean, it's so unclear. It doesn't actually seem to be a priority of the administration. Definitely not from the White House. They say they have much more pressing matters on their plate. Obviously, for the Justice Department, to your point, I mean, this is such a public matter that I do think they should take it seriously. And there were so many, as you pointed out, MAGA voters who literally thought that this was all going to be solved under this administration.
Right.
I think that it really has turned into this theatrics. And it is sad because this obviously was a terrible guy. And I think there obviously are so many questions to be unanswered here. But even beyond the women, you have to think about who this person was and why people were so associated with him. I mean, there was this money laundering case opened against him, I think in 2007, that really never got truly resolved. And he was dealing with these mega billionaires and world powers all over the world. So why are people trying to suppress this and protect people? I think obviously a lot of it has to do with his, sick problems of human trafficking. But I also think it's a lot of people just turned a blind eye to this guy. So anyway, to answer your question, I don't know that this Justice Department is looking to get to the bottom of this investigation. And she kind of left it open today if there was an investigation when Todd Blanchard said there's no investigation. And she kind of acted like there were pending investigations.
Katie, back in the UK, there is this investigation into the vetting process for Mandy before he was made ambassador, and there's also investigation into whether he broke any laws. Are he or anyone else likely to be criminally charged?
Peter Mandelson is, depending on what they find. The expectation is he'll be interviewed under caution, but to be clear, the criminal investigation or what he could potentially be charged with is not really to do with any crime in terms of, the sexual sense, which is of course what most people think the Epstein scandal is about. It would be about sharing government secrets. So it'd be the British Official Secrets Act, and that is effectively being done for treason. And this relates to emails dating back to when Peter Mandelson was business secretary. You have to go back over a decade, and he seems to be forwarding marketing sensitive government information to Jeffrey Epstein, which then he could profit on or use to make money. So it's an aspect of the Epstein scandal. But I think when we all talk about the Epstein scandal and justice for the victims, we're not immediately thinking of that aspect of it. And certainly going back to the US, it feels as though, one of the reasons the White House and the Department of Justice perhaps don't see this as a priority is we have to remember, their hand was forced into releasing these files. They haven't wanted, despite what Donald Trump said in the election campaign, wanted to go there or keep everyone talking about it. Whereas in the UK, it's funny, with the release, it feels the biggest shockwaves are happening, also in Norway, across Europe.
Yeah.
It is shaking up governments, royal families, business everywhere. But actually, the White House so far is standing intact, and I don't think wants to do much. And I think because of what Lindsay was talking about, which is there are so many people implicated that were drawn into Jeffrey Epstein's orbit. We talk about obviously the parties with the young girls, but the one of the bigger things when I interviewed Peter Mandelson before the latest files dropped, I said, why were you hanging out with this guy? And he said, well, I went to 2 dinner parties with him, and one of them had Bill Gates across the corner, the founders of Google. Another one had Noam Chomsky at it, but he didn't want to talk to me because I was a Blairite. But there was this sense of all the rich and powerful, and therefore anyone who was vaguely in those circles in the 90s probably thinks there is a risk of pursuing these things too far because you don't know who's going to be taken down.
Right now, you can get 20% off everything on the Cozy Earth website. Bubble cuddle blanket, sheets, towels, pillows, pants, everything on there, 20% off. And if you haven't tried anything from Cozy Earth, now's a good opportunity to buy yourself one thing, and you'll see how different it is than other things you own. Softer, more luxurious, and yet very affordable. 20% off. Go to CozyEarth.com. Use the promo code TWOWAY. Buy yourself the Baja bedding sheet. Buy yourself the Bubble Cuddle blanket, the Luxe bath towels, or the pants. If you're a man and you don't own the pants, you're making a big mistake. It's just as simple as that. You can wear them anywhere. They're comfortable. They fit great. I can't tell you how much of my day is spent responding to emails. Yes, yes, yes. The pants have changed your life. Buy one, then send me the email. I'll happily send you the yes, yes, yes email. Be my pleasure. Again, go to CozyEarth.com, promo code TWOWAY for 20% off everything on the site. CozyEarth.com. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the Two-Way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.